so much for joining us today for our small talk all about butterflies and moths, part 2. If you joined us for part 1, you'll know that we have over 8,000 butterfly and moth specimens here at the Transcona Museum, and there is never enough time in the day to talk all about them, so hence part 2 of our series. My name is Jennifer. I'm the assistant curator here at the Transcona Museum, and with me behind the scenes is Alana.
Hi!
She'll be operating the camera and also assisting, helping to, get up close to some of these butterflies and moths that we've pulled here today.
I'll also be monitoring the comments for any questions that our viewers may have, and as well telling Jen the numbers to pull from our drawers when we get to the end. So you want to talk about what we're going to do at the end?
Yes, so all these cabinet drawers behind me house many, at least 70 plus cases of butterflies and moths, and they're all numbered 1 to 70, and we're going to ask our viewers today to pick random numbers between 1 and 70. I'm going to pull one of the drawers and we'll see what's inside. So before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that the Transcona Museum resides on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation. So a little bit about our collection before we dive right into it. The collection comes to us from a local Transconian. His name was Christopher Stephen Quelch. He was born in Manitoba, and he was a school teacher and principal here in the community. He started collecting butterflies from a very early age. So this would have been about the 1940s. He became interested in butterflies. And he collected specimens from around the world, not just Transcona and Manitoba. He traded with collectors from across the world, whether in person or they did mail them to each other in the mail. There is a method by which you can carefully fold up a butterfly or moth in paper and actually snail mail them across the world. His wife Kathleen often joined him on his butterfly hunting expeditions, and she is credited with some of the specimens here in the collection. He was a very meticulous note taker, so we have notes about the name of the butterfly, mostly their Latin names, where they were found, dates they were found, conditions of the weather, their rarity, whether they are more common type species or more rare species. And he amassed this collection of over 8,000 butterflies. So before he died, he sold off part of his collection. Part of it ended up in the hands of Mr. King.
We got the collection in 2 different lots. When the museum was first being started, a portion of his collection was donated to the Transcona Museum. And then after his death, his collection went to a gentleman called Mr. King. And Mr. King was also a lepidopterist and collector. And after Mr. King's death, his wife separated the collection, I guess. Some of it came to us here at the Transcona Museum. I believe some of it may have gone to the Manitoba Museum, and some of it may have gone to the University of Manitoba. So his collection did spread out a little bit, but we do have a significant portion of it.
Perfect. So that is how we came by this collection. A lot of the specimens here are about 60 to 80 years old. So they are very old. We keep them in these specially built drawers. They have insecticide within them that helps to prevent against bug infestation, because we don't want our other bugs eating the collection. We also keep them in the drawers, in the cabinets behind us, out of the light. They are light sensitive. So we keep them on rotating displays here at the museum, just so that the colors don't fade any more than they already have. And just, so Lepidoptera, the Lepidoptera collection. It is a Latin term which means scaly wing, and that refers to the multiple scales that butterflies and moths have on their wings. So if you've ever held a butterfly in your hand and you find the powder residue in your hand afterwards, those are actually the little scales that are coming off, and they need those scales in order to fly. So we always recommend, please don't touch a live butterfly. And we're going to be referring to these butterflies and moths mostly by their common names. That is just the the visual, easy description name that they sometimes go by. They do have those crazy Latin names. My Latin's a little rusty, so I'm going to be referring to the common for the most part.
I'm not even going to try the Latin names because I know I'm not going to be able to do it.
And I think I mentioned earlier, we're going to be looking mostly at Manitoban specimens today, just because they don't often get highlighted when we do a lot of these talks. So we have quite a few drawers that we've pulled here today. So we're going to get the camera ready.
Off the mount.
Off the mount. I'm going to get my notes. And we'll get started.
And I'm going to get the tripod out of the way so I don't trip all over it. Okay. It'll release from the mount. There we go. Okay, what are we starting with today? Ooh,
This
yes.
case right here. So we have some Canadian tiger swallowtails.
I want to grab the lid
Yes.
to, there is a, unfortunately with the light, there we go. Little bit, there we go.
So yes, this is the Canadian
Oop.
tiger swallowtail. And one of the reasons I wanted to pull it out today was because I actually saw one of these in my parents' garden. I had never seen one before in real life, so I was very, very excited.
Was it on the dill?
No, it was on the cedar bushes.
Because the caterpillar for the swallowtail really likes dill as well. I actually have a photo that I took a couple years ago in my garden of swallowtail on some dill. And I actually, when I first Googled it, I thought it was actually a monarch caterpillar, and one of our monarchs unfortunately lost a wing. Because, now if you know about monarchs, when they're in their caterpillar form, they like to eat milkweed. Milkweed is poisonous, it doesn't taste very good, it makes them not taste good. So their caterpillar also doesn't taste good. So as a form of mimicry, the swallowtail butterfly caterpillar looks like the monarch caterpillar as a method of defense. So a bird or a predator will see that and think that's a monarch caterpillar. They're not tasty, so they're going to leave them alone. And you can tell the difference because the monarch caterpillar has has black antennae that come up, and the swallowtails do not.
Some other interesting facts about these swallowtails here: they can be found in almost every province and territory of Canada, even as far north as the Arctic Circle, which is quite crazy actually. These butterflies are one of the most common species that you can find mud puddling. That means that they actually will get most of their moisture from puddles or little, pools of water along the side of the road. And the young larvae or caterpillars, when they're really itty bitty, they are brown and white, and they actually resemble bird droppings too.
Oh.
So that's another kind of defense mechanism that they have to, ensure their survival into adulthood.
Very fun. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move over to this case here. How's the glare?
Let me just get the camera situated. We got some glare over on this side. Yep. We have some extra lids to...
Our fancy props here.
And up like that. There we go.
Okay.
No more glare.
So the Luna moth is what we're going to start with here. So these can be found in Manitoba. I've never actually seen one in real life. I think it would be really special to see one. But you can find them from about May to June. They're called a Luna moth because, they are this beautiful bright green color. They have these spectacular eye spots, which apparently are meant to, ward off predators. And the tails, the elongated tails on the back of their wings here, apparently in flight, it's meant to confuse echolocation of bats.
Oh.
So, fun little tidbit there. They are from the family of giant silk moth, and they're one of the larger moths you can find in North America. And they actually, as adults, they do not eat. A lot of moth species, this is common. So when they're caterpillars, they will eat a ton and they will store up a lot of fat because by the time they're adults, they don't have actual mouths. So their main purpose in life at that point is just to reproduce. So they're alive for about maybe a week. They will reproduce and then they will die. And they basically use those fat stores that they gathered as a little baby caterpillar to survive for that week as an adult. Moving over a little bit, we have, which one? This guy right here. So this is the Columbia silk moth, or the larch silk moth. It's from a family called Saturnidae. I'm sorry for my Latin.
Oh, I had it. Saturn. Oh, it's gone.
Saturnidae.
Saturnidae is how I say it.
And that basically, that family of moths has some of the largest examples of moth species in the world. You can find this guy from East Quebec to Ontario to Michigan to northern Wisconsin and southeastern Manitoba. You can also find them in Alberta, Montana, all the way through the Rocky Mountains down to Texas. And once again, as adults, they do not feed because they do not have a mouth part, so their sole purpose in life is to reproduce. And now these guys are often confused with, I am so sorry, I got this confused. This is the Columbia silk moth, not to be confused with the Cecropia moth.
Yes, they're very similar looking. They have very similar markings. It's size-wise, though.
Yeah, the size is the difference. So the Columbia silk moth here is a lot smaller than our Cecropia up here. And this is actually one of the largest moth species in North America. Females have been documented with a wingspan of at least 5 to 7 inches. They can be found all across North America. And you can commonly find the little caterpillars on maple trees, but you can also find them on cherry and birch trees. So keep a watch in your gardens.
And this box also has something interesting. We actually have cocoons in these two. I don't know if these cocoons actually go with these silk moths. Unfortunately, there are no tags to tell us. But one of the differences between butterflies and moths is that moths actually create a cocoon, so they are wrapped in silk, whereas butterflies create a chrysalis, which basically they just dissolve within themselves into a pile of DNA goop and then come out as a butterfly. And all of that happens to a moth, but a moth creates that cocoon exterior where a butterfly doesn't. It's confusing.
This one right here, actually, before we move on, there's a note behind it that said that this one was born and bred basically in captivity. So It wasn't caught as a live specimen, it was grown. Next collection. See if I can get the butterfly right this time, huh?
We are
this one right here.
Yes.
So this is the Nevada buck moth. Females are slightly larger than the males. The male abdomen is black and it has this fantastic little red tip on it. It's faded.
Yeah, in photos I saw online, that red tip is bright red. And here it's on our camera, it looks almost like a little orangey, but in the photos I saw online, it was bright red.
So they have this very distinctive creamy white and red-black border pattern on its wings. They also have little small eye spots, which are meant to, ward off predators. But I mean, compared to this guy, now I'm seeing this upside down through the camera. It looks like a cat's face to me, like the eyes and then the nose.
A little bit.
So I mean, that's the whole point of the eye spot, is it's to ward off predators because a predator doesn't want to entangle with something that could potentially be larger than it.
No. Showing off some of the other ones in this box. But some of these boxes have numerous different specimens, even from within the same families. So we just chose a couple from each box to talk about today.
So this guy, before we move on, he looks very similar to our Nevada buck moth, but this is an eastern buck moth. Once again, they're distinguishable by the black body with the little tiny red tip on the end. And apparently the caterpillars, they are covered in a spine that is attached to a poison sac. And if you prick yourself on these spines, you know, symptoms range from stinging, itching, burning to nausea. So I would suggest don't touch a caterpillar with spiky spines.
Yes.
Just to be on the safe side. Now this case here,
There we go.
this are all examples of underwing moths. And there are more than 250 known species of them. The majority of them you find overseas in Europe, but the other ones you can find in Canada and North America. These moths are colored except for their hind wings, which are marked with stripes of orange and red and white or even blue. In some cases, their hind wings are almost black. However, their bright hind wings are not visible when they are resting because they're hidden underneath, you know, their forewing, hence the name underwing. And due to their diversity and variety of colors and patterns, underwing moths are very popular with collectors across the world. And it's believed that the bright colors arranged in roughly concentric markings at a casual glance resemble the eyes of a predatory animal such as a cat. Which I can kind of see it. But just a great collection of a family or a group of moths, and just the diversity that you can find within that subgrouping. Okay, let's see if I can get this right.
Actually, this one's good so far. There's no glare.
Okay.
Which are we looking at again?
We are supposed to be finding the...
This is box 9.
This is box 9?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking for the American snout.
Oh, the snout. Is that the Zale?
No.
No.
Ida americalis.
Come along with us as we try to read the tiny little tags. IDA?
Yes. Oh, there's IDA, but that's not quite it.
Oh, right below it.
There we go.
The one with 3.
These guys right here. I mean, they're hard to find. There's so many of them in here. But these guys, the American snout, they are a type of litter moth, and they're called litter moths because the caterpillars of most of the members feed on dead leaves of plants while others feed on living leaves, so they literally eat the litter of the forest. They're commonly found in moist forests in North America, ranging from southern Canada to Florida and Texas. They are nocturnal, and they are lured by sugar baits and light traps.
And then it was the Zales, right?
Yes, the Zale, which is the...
Right here. These guys. Whoop, down here.
This one, yep.
These are all Zales.
But I think it's this one in particular that we're looking at, which is the colorful Zale, the large false looper, or the mahogany similar wing. So this guy's got a lot of names. It's an owlet moth, and owlet moths are mainly night flyers, but they are attracted to light. They're found across North America. The males, or the adults I should say, are extremely diverse in their coloring and patterns. And they are described as pattern variable. Some have yellow, some have black spots. Their wings are very interesting because they have this kind of triangular tooth marking along the edges of them.
Trying to get the camera close enough to see that. Oh yeah, and you can see it there.
Just a very beautiful looking moth specimen. And most of us usually think of moths as being, you know, they're not very pretty compared to their butterfly counterparts. Butterflies active during the day, so they are very bright colored. They live around flowers, and so, you know, once again, bright colored. Moths are at night. You don't want to be bright colored because you don't want to be eaten by a predator. But that doesn't mean that they can't be beautiful in terms of their patterning and their variations that you can find.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy, look at that.
Yeah. Lots of like little lines and zigzags, and these ones almost look like leaves. The coloring on theirs.
These ones, their scales actually, the way they're bouncing the light, it looks silver.
Yeah, it's hard to see on camera. It's easier to see in person, but they're very bright and reflective, and it really that does show on the camera.
And I mean, at night, bouncing off the moon or something like that, I would not want to tangle with that. It does.
Well, you know, animals' eyes glow in the light, so that could be potentially, you know, defensive mechanism.
Now this one here, we are looking for the common marbled carpet moth. You know, we prepped this ahead of time.
We did. What is its name?
Oh, it's up here, right here. These two little guys right here. So they're from a family called Geometridae, and the species in this family are referred to as inchworms because when they move across the ground, they do that little inchworm pattern. You know, they loop.
Here, let's show Jen.
Scientific-y.
Yeah, there we go, the inchworm.
This guy here, he's one of the most diverse of his species in terms of the wingspan and color. I mean, they're very tiny, so I can't imagine them being much bigger. Their hind markings, you know, they're very plain on the bottom, but then very brightly colored on their top wings. And they display, you know, colors from white to black to gray to brown to even red. And, you know, just very pale gray on the bottom. So very bright on top, and very subdued on the bottom.
This drawer also, again, has other examples, other moths, but we also have some other insects in here. These are bee flies, and then we have some different beetles, and these ones right at the top, if I can see it, they are that iridescent green, and those are dogbane beetles. But the really bright iridescent green, which in previous time has been used in clothing and jewelry, because before people could manufacture that look, they would turn to nature for it.
So this is a great place to mention that he didn't just collect butterflies and moths. He did collect some specimens of beetles and spiders. We got some fantastic looking wasps and grasshoppers.
We have a scorpion somewhere also in the collection.
He also collected bird eggs. So we have over 1,000 bird eggs. Now that is illegal to do today, but because it is a historic collection, that's how we can have it in the collection. Everything from tiny little hummingbirds to ostrich eggs.
And if we get the okay to reopen anytime soon, we have some of our bird eggs actually on display right now. So you'd be able to come in and see some of those. And a lot of those are over 100 years old, actually, those bird eggs. So once we're open to the public again, you'll have an opportunity to come in and actually see some of them.
You'll also be able to see some examples of the butterflies and moths as well. We'll pull some drawers and put them on display once again.
Yes, we had some on display, but once we were closed, we took them off just for preservation sakes.
Okay. Now there's a couple in here.
It's these ones.
Yes, so the first one we're going to be looking at is
the hobomoke.
Yes.
Which are these ones, and there's two different ones.
Yes. Perfect. So yeah, those are the hobomoke skippers. They're found throughout eastern Alberta to Nebraska, all the way to the coast of Canada and the US. They're very common and very widespread. and they can be found in a wide range of habitats such as clearings, woodland edges, woodland openings, and near roads. And there are two kind of colorings to this guy. So there's the what's called the Pocahontas, which is that
The darker one
here, and then the orangey colored one right here. And then the other one is, this is drawer 15.
Yep. What's the name?
Oh, I think there are these ones here. Yes, the salt and pepper, that's it. The salt and pepper skippers. They are found from Nova Scotia and Maine all the way to Manitoba, to Georgia, to northern Florida and Texas. You don't find them in the plains though, very often. They have they're a small dark skipper with very small white spots.
These are the ones that are uncommon though, correct?
Yes, they are uncommon in Canada. They're very hard to find.
Like if I just move a little, see if I can see the date. 74, one was collected. 73, this one right here by my finger, that one was collected in 1973. There are a lot of skippers that are close to being endangered, or if not endangered right now, and that's due to them. A lot of times their preferred environment is like tall prairie grasses.
Yep.
And there aren't as many tall prairie grasses anymore, so some of the skippers have become very rare, very endangered, and I believe some have even become extinct. I don't know if any in our collection are ones that have become extinct.
No, I did search that. There is a type of skipper butterfly. I can't remember the name of it. We have its cousin, but it only exists within a certain pocket in the corner of Manitoba and into Minnesota. They've been able to successfully kind of breed and reintroduce this butterfly in Minnesota to breed it into larger numbers. So it is making a very slow comeback.
I did just recently see that the Winnipeg Zoo is also breeding skippers and releasing them, trying to repopulate a certain skipper population.
Now skippers and litters, they are the tiny, tiny little ones that you will find in the grass in the very early morning. If you know those like white, gray, powdery ones, you know what I mean? Skippers, they are seen mostly during the day, so therefore they're considered a butterfly, not so much a moth. They're named for their very quick darting flight habits. And actually most of their antenna tips have been modified into a little arrow shape, so it helps with aerodynamics. There are more than 35,000 species of skippers that are recognized, and they occur worldwide. Many skippers look alike, so it's very hard to tell them apart. Sometimes the only reliable method to tell them apart is to dissect them or to examine their genitalia underneath a microscope. Learning all this about moths.
Today we had some information in our database, but not a lot actually came with our collection when we did receive it. So we were using a number of different websites to get this information, from Wikipedia to, I found a Canadian biodiversity website listing different insects in Canada run by the Government of Canada. So that one was really interesting. That's where we got the information about the salt and the pepper and salt skipper and a couple of the other ones.
So this one is just one we have pulled some other really great species and color variations on the wings. But this guy, he's so cute. He's so tiny.
Little. And this one was caught in Transcona, was it not?
It was caught in Transcona in 1947. And I mean, if you look at the size of my pinky nail compared to this guy, he is so tiny.
Yeah.
And that may be, you know, that is his size. So he would probably be a type of skipper or a litter butterfly.
I think this is one of the smallest ones that we have in our collection.
I think so.
There's some other small ones. Oh, I can't even get close enough to really get in there to show it on camera.
This one, actually, if you want to zoom in on this one, its hind wings on the bottom, they look fuzzy. Like it looks like ropes of thread.
Oh yeah.
So one more case, and then we're gonna turn it over to our viewers to see what butterfly cases you want to see. So the black banded orange moth, which is this one. No, it is not. That one. That's him, right there, down there. Itty bitty guy. He is another species of those inchworm butterfly, you know, across the ground. He's found across North America. His coloring varies from white to orange to yellow. He has very distinctive banding across his wings. And they're very, very small, you know, barely getting above an inch in length. And you see them mostly in May and June. And the pupae, they overwinter. So they may not hatch right away, so they will survive throughout the winter to hatch into the spring.
That's often you'll hear from gardeners not to clean up your garden in the fall, but to leave it till the spring, and after it's actually gotten warm enough, like over 10 degrees for a number of days, and that's so the pupa or the caterpillars for some of these overwinter butterflies actually have a chance to hatch and grow and like have food to eat.
The last one in this case is this one right here, the scarce infant moth.
What a name.
Once again, a part of that inchworm family. Found in North America, all the way from the Yukon to Newfoundland, Labrador, as far south as New York, you know, found in Alberta and British Columbia as well. They're found in open mixed wood forests in boreal mountain regions. Very small, they don't get very big. You may see them flying around from March to May. Their peak season is late April, apparently in Alberta.
Okay.
And generally the flight period begins when the snow patches are still on the ground. So you'll see them very early.
Some of the other ones. Try not to go too fast.
I like this one right here. They have like a very gossamer look to their wings here. And every once in a while, what's great is that he'll display the butterfly from the other side, so you can see what the colors look like on the other side, or it'll be folded in half and pinned like that.
All right.
Okay.
So now we've reached the part of the program where we want those of you who are watching to actually participate in this talk. So behind Jennifer there are many of our drawers. So what we would like you to do is we're asking for you guys to pick a number between 1 and 70. Post it in the comments and we will pull that drawer and show off whatever butterfly or moth is in that drawer, because we don't know off the top of our head.
Sometimes we get lucky and I know the butterfly, so.
So again, if you're watching this, just comment with a number between 1 and 70, and we will pull one of the drawers.
While we wait for viewers to comment, I'm just going to pull a random one here. Let's see, I am feeling number 32. Here. Ooh.
Ah, good pick, Jen. So again, this is, Jen just picked a random drawer number. And so these are glasswing butterflies. So they have clear scales, so you can actually see right through them, hence glasswing. I know those. I don't know what these beautifully orangey striped ones are.
And we have the glass on here, and we don't regularly clean the glass, so if we were to remove it, they would look spectacular.
Yeah, these ones are really big in this corner here.
That one's a sappho. I'm pretty sure that's its name. The blue one here.
Yeah, it's hard to see that it's blue, but yeah, it's just coming. Okay, so we have someone who has commented box number 68.
68, okay.
Okay, getting towards the end.
Towards the end, those would be
Moths.
moths. They might be Asian variety.
So it says exotic giant silk moth. So, dun, 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 dun.
Oh my goodness! Look at these beauties.
So very similar to those North American silk moths that we showed at the beginning. Smaller though, like the North American ones were smaller, sort of like this size. But oh, like that one is just, and very fuzzy looking. Okay, so if you're watching, we would like another drawer number, please. And maybe while we're waiting.
Oh, I love that pink banding. Sorry.
Yeah, it does show up very pink on camera too. While we're waiting, let's go with my favorite number, number 8.
Number 8. Okay. A Manitoban variety. Cabbage butterflies.
Wow.
So these are very common. I used to catch these all the time as a kid.
And the yellow is not translating on camera. These are super bright, like the orange is pretty accurate. These are much brighter yellow.
And collectors will, they
This
will
one's
use
have orange
nets.
spots.
Just like you would have caught butterflies and moths as a kid. Sometimes they will bait a butterfly and moth with their particular favorite treat, you know, sugar. Sometimes they'll use light. Sometimes they use rotting meat, actually.
Some butterflies are actually scavengers.
But that is how you catch a butterfly, with a net.
Okay, I'm gonna pick another one.
Okay.
Because we haven't had anyone else give us a number. So if you're watching this, please give us a number between 1 and 70 and we'll pull that box. 33.
33, okay. South American. And I should say the first one I pulled at random was from South America.
Ooh, the owl eye butterfly. Now these ones, it's called the owl eye because those look like owl's eyes. And if you're a predator and all of a sudden you have an owl staring back at you, you're not going to want to go after that. And then this one up here, it is showing on camera, it is iridescent. So its scales aren't actually that purpley blue color that's showing. It's just how the light hits its scales, how it reflects back, which is really wonderful.
What's hilarious is that we tend to pull the same type of drawer. So some of you may have noticed these from last time.
Okay, Jen, you pick.
Okay, let's try and pick one I haven't picked before. Actually, let's go here. 47. See what happens. I think it'll be safe to put on here.
So it's from Asia. Okay.
Look at that one.
Yeah, with the tips.
So I'm
Of the
seeing
wings?
some of these are from India.
And then this is what it looks like when their wings are folded up. Tented, as they say for butterflies. They tent them up above them.
Yep.
But it is like shiny reflective, those white bits. It's hard to see on camera, but it does catch the light with your eye.
I mean, I love some of the variations that you see just with the banding. Now, maybe what this is they are a same species of butterfly, but just regional variations. You know, we have India, we have Sumatra, we have Japan.
Yeah, beautiful. Let's maybe do one more.
Okay.
So you pick one more.
One more. Let's see.
Unless someone's watching and you give us a number between 1 and 70.
Hold. 55.
So again, these are from Asia.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. This one, my eye went straight to. Wow, look at the coloring on those.
The pink, there's so few. Now, actually, I'm thinking about this. It looks pink, but that's its underside. So its wings are so thin.
That the red is showing through pink. Wow. Just gorgeous.
It's been a very, very long time, and I don't know if I've ever actually pulled all the drawers and opened them up to see what's in them. So it's always a treat.
So if you're joining us right now, I see we have a couple more visitors. If you give us a number between 1 and 70, we will pull that drawer and show off the butterflies or moths that we have in that drawer. So we're looking for a number between 1 and 70. So just leave it in the comments and we will pull that drawer. And there's usually a little bit of a delay.
You can see just behind us, like all the drawers, and it's very easy for us to say we have 8,000 of them because you've seen some of the drawers. They are just chock-a-block full of examples. Hopefully somebody chooses a number. Okay, maybe one more.
Okay, I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
We haven't had anything in the 40s.
No.
40, number 40. Box 40.
At the very bottom.
Again, these are Asian. Yes, I believe we have shown these ones off before.
But they're just stunning.
Yeah.
Great example of swallowtails.
And the black, I believe, has faded. Like some of these are really black and others may have actually been exposed to more light.
We don't often look at the bodies, but I mean, just like look at the color patterning on the bodies.
The thorax and the abdomen.
Just Japan, I'm seeing from Japan, India, the Philippines, so all over the world. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up today. So if you have any questions after the fact, please leave them in the comments in the video and we will get to them as soon as we can. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoy what we do, please follow us on social media. You can visit our website to find out what other events that we are hosting over the next few weeks. We will be having some other small talks. So next Tuesday at noon, we will be doing everyday objects, care for everyday objects. So we'll be looking at photo albums and textual items and silver and other types of heirloom items you might have in your homes and how to look after them. The next week after that will be the Transcona Museum and 5 objects. So Alana and I will be picking 5 objects we think represents the community or the museum here. And then the last talk for July will be about the Transcona cordite plant. So talking about its history, what it was. We'll have pictures and artifacts to show along with those. So our small talks are once again Tuesdays. We're switching over to 12 noon to see how that works for people. And you can join us with the Zoom link through our website, or you can join us Facebook Live. I think that's everything.
Yeah, if you want any more information, just visit our website. We're constantly updating it with what's going on.
All right, thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your days.
Bye.